let's dive into it, shall we? Without further ado, let's talk about the difference between the two. We're going to start by talking about the investor's paradox. The investor paradox is this lesson that we learn to better understand that transactional members need the most, and aspirational investors who are willing to invest the most don't need more. They don't want more. And they definitely don't want what the transactional members get. And this is hard. This is a really challenging place to be. And I say this all the time in my talks, that if you're in the membership business, if you're in the membership business model, you probably are not running a membership organization. In fact, you're running 4 different membership organizations. The transactional are half of your organization structure, and the aspirational are the other half. Now, that's just from a 2-dimensional standpoint. Where your members actually show up is in that 80-20 role. We've got about 80% of your members who are going to be transactional at some point, but over time you can teach them to be more aspirational. And as I work with membership organizations throughout the US and Canada, I get to see long-term members who have become more of an aspirational investor over time, because they have grown with the organization, because the messaging of the organization has gotten through to them. So we're going to talk today about what is fundamentally different about members, transactional members versus aspirational investors. And so anytime that I use the term member, I'm probably referring to the transactional member. And anytime I use the term investor, I'm probably talking about the aspirational member / investor. Okay, so that's going to be our baseline for the content today. And as questions come up, please don't type them in the chat. Type them in that Q&A box over there. Okay. All right. So stakeholders and those aspirational businesses, again, they don't want something more. They don't want more quantity. They want something different. Okay. So let's talk about transactional members a little more detail. I think you know who these folks are. These folks would they want to get the most for the least. If they could pay you less, they would. They are the folks who they complain when you change your price, and they like to live in the weeds. They would trade or barter if they could, because that would cost them less. They want to get the most out of you. They will milk you. They will ask you for things that you didn't even publish or offer. They are fickle. They are transient. They will leave you for the same reason that they joined you. So if you are promoting discount, if you are promoting cheap alternative, when someone else comes into your space and offers something for less, these members will leave you. Okay. The satisfaction of transactional members does not equal loyalty. Okay. So can you see the setup here? I think you can. You probably can. You've probably seen a version of this show before and thought about this, and hopefully you're bringing your staff in on conversations about aspirational and transactional members, because there's a lot of learning to be done. Okay, so aspirational investors, they want to get something done with you, and that's different than getting something from you. They want to partner with you. They are willing to invest an amount that is greater than the sum of the transactional benefits. I'm going to say that again, and there it is on your screen. They are willing to invest an amount that is greater than the sum of the transactional benefits. Why? Because they know what you're going to do with the money. They want to get something done with you. So they're not buying benefits. They're not buying features. They're not buying visibility. What they're doing is they're investing. The aspirational investors are expecting a long-term return on their investment. They don't have a do this for me or I'm gone attitude. That's transactional. They have long-term partnership. They want to have a trusted advisor relationship with you both ways. I think that's really important to remember. They want it. They want the two-way relationship. They want you to be a trusted advisor to them, and they are absolutely willing to be a trusted advisor to you. Now, some of the aspirational investors are willing to go so far as to serve on task forces and committees, but others would rather not. They'd rather keep you at a little further distance, but they're willing to do you a favor. Okay, so aspirational investors have a much, much higher loyalty than the transactional member. And how do we know this? By studying a lot of membership organizations, membership structures, and membership databases. We see that the folks who are the most likely to leave in a membership organization, they do so within their first 3 years of membership. And it's really years 1 and 2. And on top of that, we know that aspirational investors, again, going back to their willingness to invest at a level higher than the sum of transactional benefits. In just about every organization that I analyzed on their membership structure, there is a dollar investment marker. So we'll call it a watermark. How about that? There's a watermark investment, at which point the dollars convert, the retention rate goes from whatever your organizational average is, gets into the mid to high 90s in terms of retention of the dollars. So what I'm saying is, if you look at the investment levels of all of your members investors, there's going to be a point at which those who are investing X amount or higher, at $500 or higher, $900 or higher, $763 or higher, some dollar amount, when you look at the retention rate of the dollars at that point north, the retention rate goes through the roof. So there's a real value for us organizationally in identifying where someone is in terms of transactional or aspirational viewpoint of what they want to get out of your organization. And if you can identify that, then you know better what to present to them in terms of making them an offer them membership. But if they are if you have a tiered membership structure, you know which membership or memberships to offer them, which levels to offer them, based on what room they want to be in, based on the features and benefits and the access, not just stuff. Okay, so the aspirational investors, very different in their mindset. Now, Kyle, that's all fine and dandy, but it's very academic. It's all theory. So get tactical. Let's get tactical here. I'm going to share with you some of the lessons that we learned in building menus. And I've been building menus for organizations for 25 years. I didn't quite start at age 7, like Amy said. I was an intern in college. My second time around in college, I was around 23 or 24 years old. I was an intern at a chamber of commerce. Then I went to work in memberships in the health club industry, doing marketing, sales, and advertising in the health club industry and consumer-based memberships, where I built membership tiers for health clubs. And then I went into, and then I was back into chambers of commerce, and started working with many chambers of commerce around 2006 to 8, and then many more again in 2012, where I added associations. So I've got a long history of a lot of different for-profit and nonprofit membership organizations. I've learned some things about how we present our membership and investment options that I think can help you, or be a great reminder to you about how people buy from you. Okay, so here's some quick do's and don'ts. You see how I purposely misspelled do's there? I think I'm pretty funny. Yes, be organized with your features and benefits, but do not think that the way in which you are organized is also a good way to sell. I'll share more context about that in just a moment. Yes, use images to evoke emotion and inclusion, and to talk about your organization. I like to use images to talk about the organization you are becoming, not the one that you were. Okay, so no more than one image per page on your menu. We want one, this is design 101. We want one dominant image on the page, no more. We've tested all these things from a sales perspective. So we're not just buying into the design theory here. This has been tested when it comes to sales versus on transactional and aspirational investors. So yes, use testimonials in your menu, especially for aspirational investors, especially for aspirational investors. No headshots when portraits are so much more effective. We've tested this too. So I'm going to show you an example of a not so good portrait that tests better than a really nice headshot, just in terms of telling a better story. Okay, so I want to go back to something real quick here on testimonials. Yes, use testimonials in your menu, especially the aspirational investors. They want to see who's in the room. But I want to caution you around using the wrong testimonial. If you use a testimonial from a personality or a brand that other people don't want to be like, that will backfire. If you use a testimonial from a personality that people don't want to be in the room with, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So it's really important that we get the personalities right on the testimonials. The other thing I want to share with you is that we've tested testimonials at transactional membership levels of the menu. And what we've found over and over again is that examples of the transactional transactional benefits in terms of screenshots, samples, and visual examples, they do a better job at converting people quickly if they are transactional. Okay, so again, if you have questions, yes, Elaine, great question. Do you have a formula to figure out that point, the dollar amount where the retention goes through the roof? I'm so glad you asked. And yes, your other question, Elaine, is no more than one image per page of the marketing collateral brochure. That also includes your website when you have let's say a screen by screen or a slide by slide presentation of different options. So one testimonial, I have a slogan, one audience, one offer, one message. And so if you have multiple offers in your membership, what you want to have you want them to target a certain type of member, okay? Because you may serve multiple audiences, right? And I alluded to that earlier, if you're in the membership, if you have a membership business model, you're not running a membership organization, you're likely running 4 different membership organizations. They represent 4 different business profiles that you serve: aspirational businesses who don't show up, aspirational members who do show up, transactional members who show up, and transactional members who don't show up. And those are the 4 different business profiles you serve. That's a very simple way to break it down. If you want more information about how to do that, go to kylesexton.com/map, and you can get the free training there on the map to membership to help you and your board and your staff better understand that you're running 4 different organizations. So no more than one image per page in your, so we want one image to go with one membership level. Turn the page, different membership level, different image, and transparently we want the testimonial to match up with the member. Okay, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. Okay. Ashley says, state that one more time. One audience, one offer, one message. Now in the membership organization, we're an umbrella for a lot of different audiences. So I just identified 4 audiences. Those are member audiences. You may also serve non-members or future members. You may have transactional customers in your chamber or association, and that's yet another audience. So one audience, one offer, one message, one offer. Okay, so that point is coming up for you, Elaine. Let me share with you these menu lessons learned. In 2006, we created our first tiered membership structure, and this visual is how we organized it all. And sadly, I also see across the country that chambers and associations try to sell memberships from a document like this. Now, this document has the cost and the value of each. And so this is an internal only document, but there are external versions of documents like this around the country that suck at selling memberships when compared to the alternative. So I want to remind you that you sell in the same way that you buy, and you create marketing materials and messages that appeal to you as a buyer. But there are other buyer profiles out there. There are other ways that people learn about what you do, and the way that they take in that information is likely different than how you do it. So I'm going to share with you, now you might swear that your columns and rows presentation is awesome because you worked so hard on it. I mean, look at how hard I worked on this one, getting all the colors right and everything. And there's some math that you really can't see at the bottom down there that's all automated and built in. And I worked really hard on this one. And I don't doubt that you work hard on yours too. But you buy in the same way that you sell. And there are other ways that other people buy. This is a race to the bottom. I don't want you to win that race. Okay. So when we went to a much improved structure, we went to an 8-page document, the cover of which was just the logo. And this was the inside front cover. And man, this is busy right here. So we learned some lessons here as well. And we learned what not to do. This is it's the same inside front cover for a different organization. You can see the before and after. This is the transition, the trajectory of the menu. We got organized. Then we decided that structure wasn't going to tell the story that we wanted to tell. And then we tested and perfected. So this version right here, this inside front cover from very early on in our learning process and how to sell these different membership levels has too much text. Now we want the menu to help us sell, but we don't. If you're relying on your menu to sell for you, I'm here to tell you that you're leaving money on the table. If you are letting your membership marketing materials sell membership for you, you're leaving money on the table. There's much more experiential marketing that we know works much more effectively. And what we've learned is, even though this is a not great picture of Brad, the CEO of the Owatonna Chamber, and Brad, if you're on, you're probably a little surprised that I'm using this photo of you because you're a great subject to talk about, had terrific success, astronomical success with a value-based, aspirational membership structure. This is not a great photo, but it's a better photo than the headshot. And people in this community, people in Owatonna, understand that this, they recognize this as city council chambers, and Brad is testifying in front of city council. And this is the action of advocating for business. So it tells a story. It tells a story. So yeah, it's not a great image, but it's a portrait and it tells a story, and it's better than the headshot. It tests better. Okay. So whenever you can, use images that transfer authority and that communicate action. Okay. So we're going to talk more about this because, Elaine, your question is the answer is on this page. Okay. So this is what I call the member investor benchmark. And we often shorten it just to member benchmark or investor benchmark. But that dollar amount, $679, that's how much we spend per member per year to do what our board has asked us to do for you, the member. I'm going to say that again because it's something you can steal. That $679 member benchmark is how much we spend per member per year to do what our board has asked us to do for you. I think it's also important to note for the accounting folks in the room, in the virtual room, that this is not our cost of goods sold. This is not our variable cost of membership. This is our storytelling costs. As a nonprofit organization, I'm assuming that everything that you do is associated with your mission. If that is the case, you could take the math that you swore you'd never use after high school and figure out what your member benchmark or investor benchmark is in your organization. Okay, so there's some folks who disagree with me on the methodology of this, but I like to keep things simple. So we take our total annual revenues. Elaine, are you paying attention? Because this is your question. Okay, we take the total annual revenue for your organization, subtract out any grant or contract revenues that could go away. So what we're looking for here is you've got a contract with the city, or you've got a contract with another organization for if you're managing another association, for example. I often see that in chambers and associations. That we would remove that. It's a big client, it's custom work, and it wouldn't necessarily relate to your member investment structure. The total annual revenues, subtract out any grant or contract revenues. That gives you your adjusted annual revenue. You take your adjusted annual revenue and you divide that by the number of members that you have today, and that gives you your investor benchmark. Okay, so Mary Jane says, would we be able to get a copy of the slides? And yes. Thank you for asking that, Mary Jane. Amy already beat you to that question, and she emailed me this morning and said, don't forget to send me your slides so we can make them available to everybody. So awesome, Elaine, you got the math. Thank you, Mary Jane, for raising your hand, drawing my attention to your question. Look, everybody's following direction perfectly. Scott says, not sure. Hey, Scott, how are you in Missouri? Not sure where this question fits in. I've been hearing more and more about the freemium membership model. What's your opinion of this model? I'm doing a little bit of consulting with a few organizations that are testing out a freemium model. Freemium model has been around for a very long time, mostly in technology. But what I encourage chambers and associations to do, Scott, is go up before you go wide. And by wide, I mean down. So if you're going to offer a free level of membership, there are constraints around it, and you want to have a conversion approach. You want to have a way to identify who the freemium folks are and put them through a process of converting. Okay, so great question. Carrie says, explain the grant and contract revenue one more time. No problem. If you have a custom client or member in your chamber or association, like the city or the school district or another association where you provide some services for them that are custom contract service, not membership. It's a contract. It's a service contract. Okay, so tourism organizations often have the tourism contract with the city or the county or a combination of different municipalities. Some chambers of commerce have a contract for workforce development services to provide to the school district, or to be an intermediary between the school district and local employers. And there's some services that are provided there. It's beyond just your membership. Okay, so if you offer one of something, it's probably not a membership. Okay, membership scales. Okay, so I hope that helps. So this helps you to better understand. Now, you want to take this member investor benchmark, and go back and reanalyze your retention rates for the last year for those who were investing north of that level versus those who are investing south of that number. I think it will be pretty different. What we usually see is somewhere in the 80 to, overall, we see an average of about 80 to 85, 86% organization overall. And then when you remove all the members and you focus just on the investors, the retention rates on the dollars, not necessarily the members themselves, but the retention rates on on both go into the 90s, but the retention rates on the dollars go way up. So if you're wondering how you're going to get a membership model that caters to the investor rather than just members in general, stay tuned, because I have some information for you about how you can participate. This is this is in the same menu as the page I just showed as the inside front cover for Owatonna. But this is their traditional basic bottom of the menu, back of the menu membership level. Notice there are no graphics on this particular page. It is not sexy. We do not want to make it sexy. We do not want to make it attractive when you have multiple offers. You want to make your lowest offer your ugliest offer. This looks like homework to an awful lot of people. They go, I'm not going to read all that. So when you put this across the page from something that has only 3 to maybe 3 to 5, maybe 7 max different features and benefits, where those features also have an image that show you an example, your eye gets drawn away from the all text page and gets pulled into the other page across from it. So we use we use these design techniques to help you sell. And this creates a race to the top. Remember, when I showed you that columns and rows format, I mentioned that's a race to the bottom. I don't want you to win that race. Okay. On the previous, Denise asks, on the previous slide, is the list visionary, transform, advances? Are those membership levels? Yeah, those are different. Those are different membership levels, and they all have different benefits. So as you move up, you get access to not just more, but you get access to different benefits. So each one of these, Denise, to answer your question more specifically, the advanced level here, it has its own set of benefits. Plus, it includes the benefits of the levels below it. Now, remember I said that they want different, not more. By doing it in this structure and page by page, not repeating the information, you're not wasting the time and attention of someone like a visionary member who doesn't want to see what's in the traditional side. They don't want to talk about it. So we focus on the visionary page, we're only highlighting what's unique about that level. Okay, and I'll show you an example using an association that we did this for, so you actually get to see these things in action. Liz says, in associations, membership is often different than partnerships, i.e. corporate sponsors. Exactly right. They want to be visible and derive business from members, like a realtor association where members have to join and members all pay the same. The corporate partnerships are where different levels of partnerships come in. How can the two be combined? Those that have to join versus those who want to join. Great question, Liz. What you are referring to in the term partnership is what in some other associations or chambers would refer to as perhaps sponsorship. Not necessarily sponsorship of events, but overall organization, corporate sponsorship, a corporate partner program. If you have a corporate partner program that looks maybe something similar to what's on the screen right now, and then that's in addition to membership dues, you have all of the evidence that you need. If your corporate partnership program is working, you have all the evidence you need that a bundled, tiered, value-based dues system is going to work for you. Here's why you might consider changing. There is no higher retention category in your organization than dues. Sponsorships go away. Dues are what's called forced recurring. So when you sell corporate sponsorships of any sort, and partnerships, you are typically going back to renew those in person, maybe hat in hand. We want to have what's called the presumptive forced recurring, by bundling it all together, putting it in a menu that people can have greater clarity. Because when you have multiple asks, do you want to be a member? Yes or no? Do you want to be a sponsor? Yes or no? Do you want to be a partner? Yes or no? Do you want to be an advertiser? Yes or no? Do you want to buy tickets to this event? Yes or no? You want to go to this program? Yes or no? You want to train your people? Yes or no? You want to engage young professionals? Yes or no? As people get decision fatigue, this is a more elegant way, especially for small organizations who are staff starved. You have fewer staff, you're expected to serve more with fewer people. It's a real problem. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. It's a much more elegant way to sell once and serve throughout the rest of the year. So it's a much more effective. Now, can they be combined? Maybe, if there's more than one. What I'm talking about is a scalable membership structure. And by scalable, it means you can sell more than one of any of these. And when we sell more than one, it doesn't devalue that thing for the rest of the folks who already own it. Sponsorship is different. And maybe your partnership program has exclusivity built in. There are 4 things that make sponsorship special. 2 of them don't work with membership, and that is exclusivity and scarcity. So you can have something that's exclusive to a level, but not exclusive. You can have a benefit that's exclusive to a level, but it's not a good practice to have a member be exclusive to that level. So one bank, if you can only have one bank at a level, that sounds a lot more like an exclusive, scarce sponsorship than it does membership. So if you've got sponsorship levels that have exclusivity, they're not going to play well in this. So we don't put it in the formula that we publish, but we do put it in the approach and how we deal with that member. We create what we call a signature package. But you got me all off topic now. It's a great question. That's what happens when you ask great questions. You get the speaker off topic. It's not off topic, but it's not in the prepared stuff. All right, let's move on to the next little bit here. Keep asking questions. And we've got just a few minutes left, but I wanted to just reiterate nope and nope on these 2 layouts, but these on the right-hand side, these are 2 of 8 pages where the front and back cover are pretty much blank and boring. And the other 4 pages have a different level on them. Okay, so I'm going to show you those in just a moment. So what I find is helpful in helping to identify your aspirational versus your transactional members and how they are different is the words that they use to identify different problems that they have. Okay, so I've identified for the chamber industry, I've identified the dozen daily dilemmas. And, talent and workforce are categorized into one. They're 2 different problems, but you get the idea. I was trying to be clever. The dozen daily dilemma, the 14 daily dilemmas doesn't really roll off the tongue. Marketing and visibility is another problem that your members are trying to solve. That's different than branding and positioning, and that's different than learning and best practices. And here's another one, leadership and team development. These are common problems in what we call the leader category. Connecting and socializing is a totally different problem. It's much more transactional. Hiring is a different. Now, hiring, didn't we already talk about talent and workforce? It's a different word used by a different business profile. This can also help you create content that attracts people around the problems you solve. Fundraising, it sounds a lot like sales, but it's different. Fundraising is used by a different profile of business. Okay, sales is there, of course, for a lot of the others. Succession planning, what is that? Succession, we're seeing a mass, you've probably heard lately this term, the great resignation. There's also a great retirement happening. Lots of folks are retiring, and if you serve businesses that are having to deal with that, some of the more institutional members and investors that you have use terms like succession planning, because they say, hey, our 25-year business banker is retiring at the end of the year and we are having trouble filling our pipeline. They don't necessarily call it hiring. They call it succession planning. So listen to the terms that different businesses and different members or investors use in your chamber or association. It will give you clues on how to serve them and how to communicate with them. Regulations is another pain point, and the economy in general is another pain point. So those are the dozen daily dilemmas. This is that map to membership I told you about. And the transactional businesses are on the bottom and the aspirational ones are on the top. Those who show up a lot are on the right. Those who don't show up at all or very, very little are on the left. And these are what they want to talk about on a per quadrant basis, a business profile basis. So we know, for example, if we know at the bottom right quadrant in just about every membership organization I work with, well, every single one, the bottom right quadrant is so price conscious and price sensitive that they're only going to invest the least. So if you're trying to grow your organization, you've got to communicate things differently. You've got to communicate to appeal to the upper right, the upper left, and the bottom left quadrant, because these folks are all willing to invest more than that number that we just came up with, right? They all want to invest more than, they're willing to invest more than Elaine's number, $679. No, I think that was my number. I don't know if you actually did the math on that, Elaine, but if you did, I would love to see it. I would love to see what your number is. So this bottom right quadrant, I just want to reiterate, they're so price sensitive, they're not going to help you grow. And if you think that you're going to grow by adding more of these people who invest the least, you are mistaken. That's not how you're going to grow your membership organization. We need more businesses, more members and investors to join at a level higher than your member investor benchmark than below it if you want to grow. Okay, so this is the cult of huggers down here. This is the make me famous quadrant. This is the I want to get my hands dirty, show me how to serve or lead. And this is all about value signals. How can you help us tell our corporate story in the community? So this is another look at this. The sponsor in the upper right. How do we convey a better value to those in the upper levels? I'm going to give you my formula here. In the upper right quadrant, this is what I call the sponsor or the leader quadrant. They want something bigger, better, more than what you're offering everybody else. They also want convenience items. I was going to buy that anyway. I go to that thing anyway. I buy that thing every year anyway. That's convenience for them. They also want something that is exclusive. Now, it's not exclusive to them industry-wide. So if a manufacturer is going to sponsor, is going to join at a level in the upper right quadrant, it doesn't mean exclusivity in this case does not mean that they're going to be the only manufacturer. They're not going to be the only car dealer. They're not going to be the only type of business from that industry in there. But what I'm saying is there's some feature and benefit in that level that they cannot get a la carte. And down at the bottom, the classic level has everything a la carte. You join, and everything else that you do is a la carte. There's a lot of yes or no propositions. You want to come to this, whether we charge or not. You want to come to this, yes or no. But in the other quadrants, you can design an experience that is more in line with how they want to plan, how they interact with you. Okay, so that's the formula in the upper right quadrant. The promoter or marketer or connector in the bottom left quadrant, you can call them all kinds of things. These folks won't attend anything. So you're not going to be able to trick them into attending anything. If you want to get them to invest more than your member investor benchmark, you've got to trade them the a la carte method of doing business with you for the make me famous, help me solve my problems from a remote standpoint. I'm not going to show up for anything, so don't trick me into doing it. What I really want to talk about is this investor level up here. These are folks who are not going to, they're not going to come to anything. What they like, what they will respond to in your investment menu are things that allow them to demonstrate their values through their partnership with your association or chamber. Okay, so they love to give gifts. External gifts are something in the community. So we partnered with the association to present a check to a nonprofit. That's an external gift. An internal gift is at a chamber where they have a young professionals program, and instead of selling individual young professionals memberships, at the investor level, you get a bundle of 5 or 10 of those, and they get to give internal gifts. They get to walk down the halls and say, you get a young professionals membership, and you get one, and you get one, and you get one. And I'm going to pay you to go. And I also remove the barrier. You don't have to pay anything when you go, when you use these passes. Okay, so these are internal gifts. The other 2 things that they like here are public thank yous. This is recognition at your events or programs. This is their logo on your homepage. Those are all public thank yous. They also like private thank yous, and this is where we typically like to surprise and delight. And this is hard for a lot of associations to specifically and strategically not publish a benefit. To not publish it takes some discipline. Now, why would you offer a benefit that you don't publish? So that you can surprise and delight. Surprise and delight is best done as a private thank you. Surprise and delight says you didn't pay for this, you wouldn't expect it, you didn't even know it was coming, but we planned for it because we wanted to create the ultimate experience for you. And we want to show you how appreciated you are as an investor. Now, why would you do this? Because what we've learned about the investor is that these folks are willing to invest 20 times what the classic members are willing to invest. 20 times. So there's all kinds of reasons why you would consider building a different type of structure that appeals to these folks. So before I show you an example, I just want to share with you a quick pitch. If you want more information about what we're cooking up here, I am starting my next group program. I do 2 of these a year. My next one begins November 11th. It lasts for 8 months. It's 2 months of, we have 2 very intense days together. They're separated at one per month, and there's some homework in between. And then live coaching and support for the next 6 months. So a total 8-month program. You get to learn with a group of organizations just like you. Your staff are also invited to participate, because I've learned that the more ownership that you all take, the better the outcome. The Chamber Think Blueprint includes my 40-page blueprint workbook. We go through it page by page together, and it includes the $1 million menu template. I showed you 2 of those pages, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't even have to be good at design. You just need to fill in the blanks. So if you're interested in any of that, feel free to email me, kyle@kylesexton.com. That's the pitch. That's all you're going to get. I'm not going to send you through a page or a funnel or anything. I'm just going to send you the details when they're ready next week. Okay, so now let me show you a menu that we did. This is one of those $1 million menus that we did for the Mississippi Manufacturers Association. We completed this 3 years ago when Jay was right before Jay retired, actually. Now this is we use stock photos that actually so the photography actually came from this association. It's awesome photography. They hired professionals to go shoot stock quality photographs of manufacturers among their membership in the state of Mississippi. So these are photos of their members, and we liked this photo of Jay advocating across down the road at the Mississippi State Capitol in Jackson, Mississippi, right up the street from their offices there. And here we've got a similar structure as you saw earlier. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different membership levels here, and that member benchmark. Okay, so we keep that lowest level in red. Any level, in fact, that's below the member benchmark. Some organizations have 2 levels below the member benchmark. That's fine too, but we make them red because because business people understand what that means. We don't have to explain it. Here is the first page. It's a $15,000 level. Now, you remember that other page that had all text on it? This only has 5 features on it. And then look, plus all the services and benefits of the producer, operator, builder, and maker levels on the following pages. And then you go down to those other pages, and it has its own set of benefits here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus all of the services and benefits of those levels below. And that's exactly opposite this page right here. So this is what we call double truck layout, booklet style, so folded and stapled. The operator level for $4,500 includes these 3 things, plus all the services and benefits of the builder and the maker levels on the following pages. The builder level has these, again, you see the pattern here, and not everything that you offer has to be finished. Look at this, operational savings from our marketplace coming soon. So you don't even have to have it done and finished for people to get excited about it. And then the maker level starts at $500, and they have their old employee count structure built in down here. And then a very simple back cover, nothing to see here, nothing to do here. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with you. We've got 5 minutes left for questions. Holy smokes, that was a lot of content. And we do have time. We do have just a few more minutes for some more questions. I'm going to stop the share there. And Amy, if you saw any other questions that I didn't get to, love it if you would draw my attention to that. Let's see, there's Liz actually asked a couple of questions here. At higher levels, should the dues portion of the investment be higher? If so, why? The total amount should be higher. I don't care where you put the money. If you put the money into dues, that's up to you. But I do like to put most of it into the membership revenue line item, but not necessarily all of it. We don't want to create scalable sponsorship packages. You want to create scalable membership packages. The difference is sponsorship packages don't include membership. When we create packages that scale and they're forced recurring, then your retention is higher. Your businesses will automatically renew if you bundle these things correctly. So Liz says, we'd love to hear you speak more on sponsorship packages and membership bundles and exclusivity. Can I schedule one? Do you want me to schedule a talk just on sponsorship packages? I do a talk actually called the one ask, and or the single ask, and it's exactly on that topic, Liz, and it's that program is included in my Chamber People membership. And so Liz, if you are a Chamber People, you can go to my website and check that out as well. So any other questions, feel free to type them in the chat or type them in the Q&A box, please. I have not been marking them off as we answer them. Amy, did you see any others in there?
No, we have a hand raised, but I can't seem to find that. Yeah, Mary Jane has her hand raised, but maybe that's from before.
I think it is.
Okay, well, Sharon just asked a question. From a business standpoint, particularly at a high level, isn't it more enticing to have more money in membership than sponsorship simply for tax purposes?
Yes. Yes. Good catch, Sharon. Now, this is the part where I say, I'm not an accountant and I'm not your accountant. So yeah, get your treasurer vault and you want to pay attention to to areas where sponsorship or advertising take you outside of your mission. And you may have, based on your state requirements, you may have different tax implications for revenue gained, and that's yet another reason to create bundled memberships instead of sponsorships. Okay, great question. Mary Jane says how to share this link with chamber staff. Amy, I think, are you going to send out a link to the recording of this?
We are. We're going to send an email out to everyone that registered, regardless of whether or not they were able to attend, and that will have the recording, but also it will have a link to everything that we have talked about today, as well as some other helpful resources. Look for that within the next 24 hours.
Excellent. And I will, and I'll be sending my my slides to you, Amy, and that can be either linked on the same page or sent out as a link in that very same email. So that is all the time that we have today, and I'm seeing that we may have actually gotten to all the questions. Amy, do you want to wrap it up?
Absolutely. Again, thank you to, I'm just all slouched down here, just watching it. It's like I'm binge watching Kyle. So thank you again to Kyle, of course, for taking his time to join us today. It was awesome. And I know that everybody was really engaged. So that being said, remember you can go to GrowthZone.com to check out everything that we have on our website for you as far as the resources go. And we have a number of webinars scheduled that are coming up. So keep an eye out on your inbox for those things and make sure that we are not going into your junk folder, which I don't know why we would, because
why would they do that?
I know we're iconic, but nonetheless, if we are, keep an eye out for that and keep an eye for the recording there. So look for that recording in the next 24 hours. The CAE certificate will be with it. And thank you again for everyone taking the time and signing in today. Thank you, Kyle.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, everybody.
All right,
See you next time.
bye-bye.